you master technicians. The 69s are on deck, and it's time to look them over. Pete, our service manager, is giving Bob the word on some of the new service features. So let's get closer to the action.
And most of the body changes are in the full-size models. The windshield and door windows are more curved than before. Even the front pillars are now curved.
What happened to the vent windows on this job?
There are no vent windows in the full-size two-door hardtops with air conditioning.
Yeah, but with no vent window frame, what supports the door glass at the front?
The door glass is supported at the front by two guides, which slide in a track similar to the hardtop rear quarter window guide tracks you're familiar with.
Is there anything special about replacing the glass with this setup?
Well, the track and guides are removed with the glass, so you disconnect the track attachment at the top and bottom. The rear channel assembly and the lower track bracket stay with the door. You also remove the stop bracket at the front to clear the up-stop button. Then disconnect the glass lift channel at the bottom, and when the glass is free, move it out of the rear channel so you can lift the glass and track assembly out of the door. Now for glass adjustment. The track attachment at the top is slotted to allow fore and aft adjustment. In and out adjustment slots are provided at the upper and lower rear channel attachments and at the bottom track attaching bracket. To align the upper edge of the glass parallel with a weather strip, you shift the pivot bracket adjustment. And for glass travel limit setting, you adjust the downstop on the regulator and the upstop bracket on the door panel. The service manuals give the complete glass adjusting procedure.
I see the lock control button's been moved to a new position.
The lock buttons on all two-door models have been moved forward for greater convenience. And for extra safety on all models, all doors, except the driver's, remain locked inside and out when the lock button is down. Now let's move over to this other car. The rear door windows in all of our four-door hardtops are now guided by a full-width track panel instead of the separate tracks used in previous models. This new panel holds the glass in better alignment and makes window adjustment easier. The track panel has 3 slots for sliding stabilizer guides which connect the window to the panel. The track panel is attached inside the door by bolts at the top and bottom.
I get it. The panel bolts into the door, and the glass moves up and down on the panel.
Right, Bob. And glass replacement is simplified because the window glass and track panel are removed and installed as an assembly. The attaching brackets at the bottom of the panel remain in the door when the glass and panel assembly is removed. Now, since the track panel is a single unit, the glass can be adjusted fore and aft when the track panel attaching bolts at the top and bottom are loosened. For in and out glass adjustment, you loosen both panel bracket attaching bolts on the underside of the door. Now here again, we align the upper edge of the glass parallel with the weather strip by the regulator arm pivot bracket adjustment. To limit glass travel, there are 2 adjustable upstops inside the door at the top, and the downstops at the bottom are fixed. And that takes care of the window part of our story. Care to add anything, Tech?
Nope, you're doing fine, Pete. But I think Bob is ready to hear about the concealed windshield wipers.
Okay, Tech. On all of our full-size models, both wiper arm assemblies park off the glass and are concealed in a parking slot at the base of the windshield.
What happens to the wipers if the slot is frozen over?
Well, the operating mechanism can't be damaged if you turn on the wiper motor when the arms are held down by ice or snow. Of course, the wiper arm assemblies must be free so they can move. To provide better visibility, the left side wiper blade pivots so it can clean more glass surface. An articulating arm works with the wiper arm to change the angle of the blade as it wipes the glass. The right side wiper works the same as on previous models.
How do you get the wiper arms off?
Either wiper arm can be pulled off when you insert a pin in the retainer release hole near the arm drive pivot. When the left side arm is off, you can remove the articulating arm retainer clip. Incidentally, the windshields on all our full-size models are now cemented in. The upper and side moldings snap onto retainers as before, but the lower molding is held in place by retainer screws. Now, as for other body styles, our full-size wagon models now have the 2-way tailgate with a power-operated window standard. The upper hinge is exposed and the window switch lock is over at the right. But the tailgate mechanism and all adjustments are similar to the 2-way tailgate you're already familiar with. Another new feature on the full-size wagons is the roof air deflector. This deflector directs a stream of air down over the rear window area to keep dust, rain, and exhaust from being drawn inside when the window is open. It also helps to keep the window clean.
Well, that about does it for body features, Pete.
On the full-size models, we've got a new wiring disconnect and fuse block combined in one assembly. Besides fuses, the fuse block also carries the horn relay, window lift relay, and 2 circuit breakers. The Imperials and cars equipped with optional 60-amp alternators now have a new charging system with an electronic voltage regulator. The new transistor-type regulator has no moving parts and provides more precise control of alternator output. The new transistor voltage regulator is completely sealed, requires no maintenance or adjustment. You simply replace the unit if necessary.
Just remember that the regulator will not work without a good ground. So be sure to reuse the special cup washer mounting screws and tighten them securely.
Good points, Tech. Now at the alternator, you'll notice that both brushes are insulated. The field circuit in this system is grounded through the voltage regulator.
We don't have time to explain testing procedure for the new charging system here, but you can get the details in your service manual. What's next, Pete?
Well, the Imperials have concealed headlamps similar to those introduced on the '68 Chrysler 300. The headlamp door operating motor for both series now has a manual wheel which can be turned to open the doors if necessary. This year's Imperials also have sequential rear turn signals. Instead of the usual flasher, a motor-operated switch in the trunk directs current to the tail lamp bulbs in sequence. The motor and switch assembly are insulated to reduce noise. At the same location, there's an override relay to cut out sequence signal action when the hazard warning system is operating. Nearby, you'll find relays for the hazard warning lights and stoplights. Like the sequence switch, these relays are also wrapped with insulation. In addition, up front, under the instrument panel near the brake pedal bracket, there's an override relay for the front hazard warning lights. Also, we have a lamp outage relay, which keeps the instrument panel indicator from flashing if one of the tail lamp signal bulbs does not light.
I see that this car has the new Superlight. What's the story on it?
The Superlight is optional only on Polara and Monaco models. It's an auxiliary high-intensity driving light which is used with the headlamp low beams. The Superlight complements the headlamp low beams to throw a concentrated rectangular beam of light on the road. When the Superlight switches on, you can select headlamp low beams alone or low beams and Superlight by pressing on the headlamp dimmer switch. To change the bulb, you disconnect the wire terminal, move the bulb retainers out of the way, and pull out the bulb. For installation, you have to align the hole in the bulb base with the index pin in the lamp housing.
Handle the Superlight bulb only by its base. Smudges or fingerprints on the glass will seriously dim the light beam. Pete, this is a good place to talk about air conditioning. So, what's new?
The air conditioners in our full-size models have been redesigned. Airflow and general operation remains the same as before. The standard and auto temp models both use the same basic units, so the main difference between them is in the controls. Inside the car, the fresh air recirculating section is now separate, and the evaporator section is moved farther to the right. You'll also notice that the door actuators are now on the left side of the evaporator housing. The fresh air recirculating housing is installed from the engine compartment side. However, you can service the fresh air door and its actuator inside the car when the glove box is removed. Now, in the engine compartment, the blower housing and plenum chamber are combined in a single unit, which extends into the engine compartment and under the right fender. For access to the blower or the housing unit, the right wheel housing must be dropped. The redesigned standard air conditioner has a new vacuum-controlled water valve to vary coolant flow through the heater core. A vacuum reservoir provides standby vacuum for the water valve control system. The amount of vacuum available at the water valve determines the amount of coolant that flows through the heater core. If no vacuum is applied, the coolant bypasses directly from the inlet to the outlet of the valve. A slide lever or a push-pull control operates the water valve vacuum regulator in the panel control unit. When the control is off, the manifold vacuum is vented. As the heat control is moved toward on, the regulated vacuum gradually increases.
We'd better hold the control right here, Pete. We've used up this side of the record, but we'll pick up our story as soon as someone turns the record over.